Well, now both Governor Walker and Lieutenant Governor Rebecca Clayfish face a recall election. Lieutenant Governor Clayfish joins us. Nice to see you.
Nice to see you too, Greta.
Okay, so explain this. When you ran for Lieutenant Governor originally, did you run on the same ticket with Governor Walker?
It's kind of confusing. We are elected separately in a primary, then paired together on a ticket in the general. So folks cast one ballot for us in the general election, even though they cast separate ballots for us in the primary. But the funny thing is, we're being recalled separately. When they changed our Constitution so that we were elected like that in the first place, it was 1970. They never went back into the recall function of our Constitution and changed that. So even though we're elected together, we're now being recalled potentially in separate questions, potentially on separate ballots on even different days.
All right, you're the first Lieutenant Governor in history to be recalled?
I am the first Lieutenant Governor in national history to face a recall.
And I don't know if it's a distinction you necessarily want, but it's sort of interesting historically.
I am going to be the first Lieutenant Governor in national history to be elected twice in my own first term. How's that?
That's good. I like that's interesting. All right, now I want to talk about this recall petition because we did a story over here last time. And it was quite stunning. It had just been revealed, disclosed, exposed, however you want to describe it, that some judges, 12% of the state court judges, have signed the recall petition. Since I've been gone, now I learned that journalists have signed the recall petitions against you and the governor.
So much for impartiality, right? I am a former journalist. I was a news anchor years ago, and having spent my first career as a journalist, it's kind of disconcerting when you have the people who are covering these elections every day signing petitions, basically signaling their political intent. It's the same thing when you talk about the judges signing. It's concerning for the folks who are going into those courts expecting impartiality.
All right. Have any of the other newspapers come out or any of the journalists and said this is wrong to the ones who are the offenders? I mean, I know that my local newspaper where I grew up was offenders. So the other newspapers are at least policing each other about this.
They are a little bit. Our biggest newspaper in the state, the Milwaukee Journal, also came out with a statement. But one of the things that concerns us is the fact that they did it in the first place. You know, when I was a news anchor, we signed ethics forms, and we declared that we were going to be impartial, and that's how we were going to report the news.
All right, how many opponents do you have?
Well, right now, I have one opponent who is backed by the Democrat Party. It's the head of the State Firefighters Union, and already...
Oh, we interviewed him.
Yes, you did.
That's the only candidate you have?
There are
others.
Rather? There are others. Actually, we know that there's a gentleman from Portage, a gentleman from Marinette, there is a private investigator from Milwaukee, all who have declared their intention to run against me in this recall election. But to be honest with you, Greta, I'm really confident because we have the facts to go back to the voters with. We have the facts.
Well, but they also came out with, I mean, a tremendous amount of numbers to sign this petition. So, I mean, that's got a sort of daunting. I mean, there was almost, what, 800,000 signed yours and 900,000 signed the governor. So it's not like there isn't a groundswell of enthusiasm to do the recall.
We're passionate folks in Wisconsin. I will admit that. That's one of the ways I sell Wisconsin from an economic development standpoint is we're ethical, we're passionate, we're hard workers here. But I will say that the 800 number that I care a heck of a lot more about is the fact that we saved $848 million from these reforms in state and local governments. For the first time, after 5 years of 5% tax hikes, we're seeing a true tax freeze in this state. We've got good stuff.
All right, well, we'll be watching because I think it's going to indicate a little bit about what the Republican Party can expect come November in the state after the June 5th or whatever it's June 5th is recall?
June 5th is the recall and May 8th is the primary, and so we urge people to keep their eyes focused on Wisconsin because we are a harbinger for what is to come in this country.
We're going to watch. Thank you for joining us. Nice to see you.